Hi folks, welcome to this special part 4 of the course we're doing, the Attitudes of Mastery. And I'm doing this special course because, this special part, because I like to create a context so that the information I give provides a context on which you can hang your the information you're receiving, so that if they're like hooks of knowledge that hang on to each other. So we're going to do just a brief revision so that we understand the context in which we're talking about attitudes, because it's very important to understand the nature of energetics. Now, energetics is just the understanding of energy and how it works in the universe. But most people are unaware that they are energy beings, that in our bodies are just an expression of the underlying energy that exists in our energy bodies that we call soul. Soul is just energy, and if we begin to understand how energy works, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to understand who and what we are. We're in the course, Attitudes of Mastery, because as I explained before in our timelines course, that timelines are just waves of energy, and they have different frequencies. And there are 3 different types of timelines. One is the timeline of potential. The next is the timeline of probability. And the third timeline is the timeline of possibility. And, as I explained, that there are 12 timelines of potential. For each 12 lines of potential, there's 12 timelines of probability. And each of the 12 lines of probability have 12 lines of possibility, making 1,786 possible timelines available to us. And they all exist at the same time. And as I explained, if moving from one timeline to another is just changing the frequency of your soul body, so that you experience a different timeline, a different higher frequency timeline. Now, attitudes determine the timelines of possibility. So we really have to practice these attitudes, because attitudes are energy in the universe. And how we practice our thoughts, emotions, words, actions, values, standards. And all these are like signposts. In the old days, when ships were entering into a harbor, they would usually have, at night time, they would have 3 lights. And the pilot aboard the ship would get on the ship and line up these 3 lights in order to steer the ship safely into harbor at night time. Well, in a sense, the 3 lights that we have to get right and practice is, first of all, the first light is our emotions and thoughts and how they work together. The second light is our standards and values and how they work together. And the third light is our attitudes. So having these all lined up is how we get safe passage into the harbor. And once we take control of our energy bodies will change the nature of the reality we are experiencing. Because that's how it works in the universe. I didn't invent this stuff. That's how it actually works. Yeah. So in the context of wanting to move our consciousness into a higher timeline, I've given you all the, not all, but most of the attitudes of mastery. There are many other attitudes that we can add to that as well, which perhaps I'll do one day, and we can continue this development of one's attitudes. But there are 12 attitudes that I've given you, and if you practice those attitudes, it will change your life. You know, attitude of grace, unoffended, impeccability, thoughtfulness, love. You know, these are all amazing attributes that you can add to the quality of your life, that will add quality to your life. You know, so it's important to practice them. Understanding the energetics is very important, because I'm trying to create a body of knowledge that is whole. So one can't take little pieces of it and say, well, that's the truth, because it all fits together and it creates one contiguous whole. And it's important that you understand that and see that the courses that we are doing are going to build up a knowledge base, an information base, that if you practice, will not only change your life, it will change this planet as well. Okay, so I got a video I'd like you to watch, just so that we can speak more about this afterwards. We're going to be speaking about how attitudes, having wrong attitudes or bad attitudes, limits possibilities. And it's important to understand that some of the attitudes that you subconsciously may have are actually limiting your possibilities. And so we'll go through that later, but I've got a video I'd like you to watch, so go ahead and watch.
Our physical bodies are constantly emitting electricity, magnetic energy, and biophotons. We are electromagnetic beings. We know that our brain creates an electromagnetic field that can be detected with EEG and MEG devices. Interestingly, the heart produces an even larger energy field, with an electric field that is 60 times greater than that of the brain, while the magnetic field is 100 times greater than the brain's. With today's detector sensitivity, the heart field has been measured up to 3 feet or 1 meter out from the body, although it is likely much larger. Today we have new technologies that are gaining popularity in the field of vibrational medicine. There are all kinds of biofeedback machines where we can place our hand on a plate and scan for thermal conductivity, measure heart rate variability, and other frequencies. Measuring these signals can help us to identify inharmonious frequencies in the body. The idea is that we can also treat those disharmonies by feeding in the proper vibrational signals needed to restore the system to homeostasis. Light and color are also used in vibrational medicine. Today, we are seeing more and more therapeutic applications of LEDs and light lasers. Electromagnetic energy, such as ultraviolet, visible, infrared, and other frequencies, affect matter at different scales. Photons generally interact at the atomic level, exciting electrons or even ionizing them out of orbit. Magnetic resonance devices have also been made available. It's interesting that the magnetic field of the heart extends 3 feet in all directions. This is also the range of what we consider to be our personal space within our working aura. The aura is in constant motion and it is flowing not only physical energies like magnetic and electric fields, but also the subtle energies of etheric, the elements, the dimensions, the chakras, and more. The purpose and action of this auric flow is to pull in all the energies from the spiritual realms and from the universe into and through our body. As it moves through us, it then flows out through the toroidal structure of our aura, out into our environment. Anything that is happening within our body, mind, and soul is reflected in our aura. Western medicine focuses primarily on the physical body, as if that's all there is. But in metaphysics, using the tree of life as a map or blueprint, we see that the physical world is the bottom of the tree, receiving all the energies from the Ein Sof, or the source, down through the other 9 sefirot into manifestation in the physical world. Through this, we see that the cause is almost always happening on higher levels of the tree, while the physical manifestation shows the effect. The body is receiving the imbalanced energies from higher levels. It is within our subconscious patterns, our mind, thoughts, emotions, and soul, where the true imbalances are typically rooted. These imbalances affect our choices and actions, thereby getting pulled into the body and then reflected out into the aura. We can read all of these energy systems without the need for vibrational devices. We have been doing this for thousands of years within spirit. This seed is something that we, as conscious and aware beings, can tap into by using our own secret fire of consciousness to reach it. This allows us to impact matter. From a quantum physics perspective, we might imagine that our thoughts send particles of consciousness toward whatever we are observing. Those consciousness particles shift the quantum state, causing the wave function to collapse. This is the mechanism or means by which we can direct consciousness to impact matter. Because those consciousness particles carry that pure essence of source, they are directed by will, which directs the mind. Think of will as a force of creation that mediates and directs consciousness. It is at this quantum level that pure essence of source comes together with the pure essence of physical density, thereby changing it to a new vibration and shifting its state. The shift happens when source energy and physical density connect. Through the unity of the two, spiritual and physical, transformation can happen. With just one, nothing happens. It is through the interaction and union of two different energies that transformation happens. Each brings in a different frequency. Energy from source is a high vibration frequency. It hits the physical, which is governed by another frequency level, the Fibonacci or golden ratio. When these spiritual and physical frequencies combine, they generate a different frequency altogether. Only by being aware of ourselves as spirit, which is infinite, can we do this. Only through understanding numbers, frequency, rhythms, sounds, words of power, proper use of sacred geometry, and Hado can we do this. These are the fundamentals that govern our ability to interact this level of reality. Beyond having knowledge of the concepts, we must also understand how to use them and put them into practice so that we become masterful at using them. That practice involves things like hermetic applications, Kabbalah, martial arts, ritual mastery, prayer, meditation, service, but also poetry, art, dance, passion, love, and joy in life. This is about the way we live life every day. It becomes a way of life.
So in this video we saw how energy in our body is measurable. In fact, it's not only measurable, it's viewable, in that it can be photographed, can be captured on video through thermal photography. And nothing I present has not been well researched. I was taught a lot of stuff from my higher self, but because I didn't understand it, because often it was just given to me in pictures, holograms. They didn't sit down and explain this stuff to me. So what I saw in what they had shown me in the holograms that they could produce I had to then go and do my own research. And that was the best way for them to teach me, because by validating the information that I was being given, it created more of a system of understanding within myself. So everything I got, I researched. And when I researched, I found a lot of information about electromagnetic healing and alternative forms of being and so on. So I'm trying to create a context in which you can understand the way the universe actually works. Because what we've been told here is a pack of lies. It's just utter nonsense. Nothing here we've been told is true. It's hard to accept that, because when I found that out, I wept for days, probably even weeks, to understand that everything that I'd worked for and strived for and learned and practiced was all just a pack of lies. So, if you really want to break away out of the matrix, you've got to learn how energy works. And in the video you saw, we have this electromagnetic field around us that works in a particular way. And our thoughts and emotions are generating this electromagnetic field. And this electromagnetic field is what changes our reality, or creates our reality. So if we're just reproducing the lies we've been told and the indoctrination we've received, we just keep getting the same crap. Sorry to put it in those terms, but that's what happens. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome, that's probably the height of insanity. So to become sane again, you have to begin to think of the world in which we live, the reality in which we live, in a different kind of way. So our brains have this electric field around it, and our heart chakra produces this massive magnetic field around us that isn't static. It moves, and we've got these biophotons moving around in our electromagnetic fields. But not just that, we've got the soul codes in our electromagnetic fields that carry our history and carry our soul history, carry information, large amounts of information, massive amounts of information. And we just ignore that and keep following the dogma that we've been taught here, that limits us to understanding the possibility of what we actually could experience potentially. And the thoughts and emotions, and I've dealt with this in the past in these courses, on what emotions are, what thoughts are, how to gain back control of your emotional body, how to gain control of your thought body. And thoughts are just electric, energy that floats around us, and thoughts are just magnetic energy that floats around us. But it works in a particular way. Now, if we have all these thoughts and emotions around us, we have to direct them. And as I spoke about in Mastering the Hologram, we have to create the movie we want to watch. At the moment, what we're doing, because we've been indoctrinated with a lot of nonsense, we are producing somebody and directing somebody else's movie, and we're acting in that movie. So we are living in a hologram of deceit. And to get out of that hologram of deceit, we have to begin to embrace new paradigms of thinking and feeling, of doing and speaking, and be authentic in our values and standards, and practice attitudes that lift our frequencies into a higher frequency, so that we can tune into those higher frequency timelines that exist simultaneously with us. What's happened to us here, we've been told these lies, so we keep repeating behaviors that keep us in lower frequencies. So we should understand this and, learn how to practice new ways of being. So we have to learn how to embody this information. And how do you embody information? Let's take it out of theory and into practice. You go and do it. If you want to ride a bicycle, you can read up all you like about riding bicycles and how bicycles work. How gyroscopic forces keep you erect when you're in movement and the wheels are turning. That may give you some comfort to know that there's a scientific reason why you stay erect when you're traveling forward at very high speeds. As motorcyclists do, racing bikes. When they go around corners, they lean into the corner and they stay on their wheels. And it's the gyroscopic forces that carry them forward. But they subtle energies, so if you lean too far over to one side or the other, you're going to fall. So we have to learn how to get on the bike and actually ride the bicycle. That's the only way you really learn. That's how you embody the information. Because when you get on and you start pedaling, your body is responding to the information. It's doing the thing that you have learned. So it's best that we learn to embody this. Now we're going to get on with the attitudes of mastery and see how our attitudes can limit us or they can lift us. And we have to learn the difference. So let's get into the next one. Now let's examine how attitudes open possibilities. I'll give 3 examples for each, but if you think about it for yourself, you'll find many, many other examples as well. Detached engagement, as I spoke about, is when you observe your reality and you don't engage immediately, or you don't react to what is happening, but you simply observe it and you bring your own presence into that situation so that you don't become disengaged from yourself, your true self. Well, detached engagement will lift you into a higher possibility of objectivity, where you begin to see things as they really are, and will prevent you from reacting subjectively to what is happening in your space. Detached engagement will give you more authentic responses. More authentic responses means you become more responsible. Because responsibility is just an ability to respond authentically instead of reacting to a situation. Detached engagement will make you more open-minded. So you'll have better results in your life. So instead of reacting to situations, you respond to them and you get better results. Detached engagement is one of the most important attitudes you need to have. Love. The attitude of love is being love, where you change love from what you do and you express to what you are, so you embody love. It's not just sufficient to, do acts of love. You have to embody it. See, in everything you do, in every situation in life, you have to embrace love as an attitude, a possibility, something you can do. If you embrace the attitude of love, you will have better relationships. Because you will objectively see your partner or your person you're in relationship with and be more loving and kind, more empathetic, more compassionate towards them. So it will immediately create better relationships. Love will also give you a better self-image. Because if you begin to love others, there's a feedback that others will begin to love you. And as this progression progresses, you get a better self-image of yourself. You say, hey, I am lovable. Love will also give you improved well-being. Because when you have a better relationship and you have a better self-image, you have an improved well-being. So you begin to feel pretty great most of the time. And if you're in that state of love, you can generate an immense amount of new possibilities in your life. The attitude of oneness is when you recognize that we live in a connected universe where everything is connected. Everything is just one thing, expressing itself in different individuated ways. So that creates improved relationships overall. What I mean by overall, not only with humans, it creates better relationships with the elements, it creates better relationship with the vegetation, it creates better relationships with the fish, the birds, the animals, because you see them as being part of you and not something to take advantage of. So you express yourself in a way that recognizes their oneness with you and that there is this codependence on each other. I can hear my lovebirds upstairs. Oneness also creates more flexibility because you realize that you don't have to do all the things you've been told to do. But there are a vast array of ways you can be. So it creates a huge amount of flexibility in your life. That you don't become an automaton. You become an authentic soul being expressing themselves in oneness with all things. And this is very important to understand. Oneness will also give you a new paradigm of thinking and being, because we've been indoctrinated with a dogma of separation, that we're separate from everything else. Whereas that's a lie from the pit of hell. So it creates a new paradigm of thinking. So when you think about the news that you're hearing, or the things you read or see on news or whatever, it just creates a new paradigm of thinking, and an alternative way of approaching an old subject that's being, that's been coming out over and over and over again, and there seems no way to escape it. Whereas oneness is the way to begin to see the world in a different way. The attitude of curiosity will add so much to your life, because you want to know how, what, when, where, by whom, and all these questions that you can ask. We've lost our sense of curiosity, and we need to regain that. So become curious about the universe in which we live, because that will generate a whole lot of answers for us. Curiosity will give us more knowledge, because in asking questions, we open up the gateway for more knowledge. When we're not curious, we just accept everything that we are told. It closes that gateway. So it broadens the mind, it opens the mind, it opens the heart to more knowledge, more information, more effectiveness at being. Curiosity will then give you better understanding, because we all live in a universe, and the universe is a conglomerate of so many things. So if you don't have curiosity, you'll never understand what's going on. You'll always be suppressed and depressed by what's going on, because you're not curious about it. You don't ask the questions. And curiosity will give you better decision making, so that you can make better decisions about your life and what you want to experience. Because curiosity generates more knowledge, better understanding, and therefore generates better decision making. So curiosity is something you really need to embrace. Grace will give you, grace is unmerited favor, and the universe is full of grace. The only reason we exist is because there's grace. Love and grace work together. Love goes out and generates the grace, the life force. Grace supports it. And grace is not prejudiced. Grace is giving, and giving without merit. So grace doesn't expect anything back in return. Grace is simply there to support love. And if we embrace grace in our lives, we'll be more willing to give and receive. And there are some people, and there are many of them on this planet, who say, if you don't deserve this, you're not going to get it. And that blocks off the possibility of going into a more graceful way of being, of saying, it's okay, I understand, you can't do this at the moment, but I'll forgive you, and I can lift you up into a higher state. Grace will give us better relationships, because we'll be more forgiving of the thing, other people, because our expectations will be not for them, but of ourselves. So we won't be expecting others to do what we want them to do. We will allow them to be who they be and give from whatever resources we have to that situation. So grace is very important. Grace will give you an improved lifestyle, because suddenly from going from a lifestyle of expectancy that everyone needs to be perfect and everyone has to do whatever they're supposed to do according to your own expectations, grace will give you the ability to forgive others, to say it's okay, and to lift others, to say it's okay. If you failed, it's okay. I don't have any expectations of you that you don't have, that you don't have for yourself. And grace lifts others. Grace supports love. Acknowledgement and respect are also very important as an attitude to hold, because acknowledgement to respect is actually seeing and acknowledging the other person and offering them respect. Because when we acknowledge and respect others, we gain self-acknowledgement and respect for ourselves. So acknowledgement and respect will give us improved relationships, because we actually see the other person. Often in our interactions, human interactions and interrelationships, we have expectations of the way that other person is going to think or do or say. But if we don't have those expectations and just acknowledge them and respect them and respect their right to be sovereign, to express themselves the way they choose to, we will have, our relationships would go a mile high. When we acknowledge and respect, we gain acknowledgement. But the most important thing is we gain respect and we gain self-respect. Gratitude, improved well-being. Well, gratitude is one of those attitudes that are an energy flow, because that which you are grateful for will come back to you and you will experience more of that. When you don't have gratitude for something, it won't return. Gratitude is a more of energy flow. So when expressing gratitude, you're gaining more of the thing that you're expressing gratitude for. So if you embrace gratitude, it will also give you an improved well-being, because you're going to be gaining more of the things that you are grateful for. So the things that bring you benefits and joy and peace and kindness and love, and you express gratitude for that, you're going to get more of that in return, because the universe is a more of universe. When you express gratitude, you create more awareness. And you will see when others are not grateful. You will, not that you have to judge them for that, but you will see that your own gratitude will give you more of what you need, and those who don't express gratitude will get less. They'll get more of the things that they're not not grateful for. Gratitude creates an open-handed attitude towards others, Because if you can be grateful for others, you can be grateful for yourself, you can be grateful for the universe, you can be grateful for acts of kindness, of joy, and we take gratitude for granted. Gratitude creates more of what you want to experience. That's how it works. Thoughtfulness. If you have an attitude of thoughtfulness, you actually begin to think. And you think in ways that are more encompassing, more resourceful, more joyous, more connected, more pleasing to yourself. So thoughtfulness is a great attitude to have, because thoughtfulness creates better understanding. Because thoughtfulness, when combined with, say, curiosity, will say, why did you do that? And ask the questions why. Thoughtfulness and gratitude work together. And thoughtfulness will also create better decision making. We will create better decisions if we step back and think, what were the reasons for that? Why did that happen? Who's responsible? What is my responsibility in this? Why is this happening? Why did I create this thing in my life? Because I lack thoughtfulness? Could be. And thoughtfulness creates improved judgment. When we look at others and we tend to be judgmental towards them, or we don't judge what is happening in a particular situation in a particular way, thoughtfulness will create improved judgment, because thoughtfulness will sit back and objectively observe and think, what just happened? Why did it happen? Who did it happen to? Who caused this? And thoughtfulness will create a lot of improved judgment. So we'll be better judges of situations. The attitude of unoffended is, to me, is a primal attitude, and I had to work really hard at this one, because at the beginning I didn't like the idea of being unoffended, because I was one of those people who got offended by anything, and everything. So I had to really work hard at this attitude, but it is such a wonderful attitude to have, because unoffended means that you don't have to be defensive, that you have a right to be, and it establishes your sovereignty and your right to be, so you don't have to defend it, because what's there to defend in the universe? We live in a contiguous and continuous resource of being. But the problem with the defense systems that happen here, and because unoffended just means, if you offend it, it just means you're defending something, and what you're defending is probably your identity, which was created by a false reality. So if you can learn to be unoffended, you'll have less reaction and better relationships. So if someone comes at you and in some way and you feel offended, you'll have less reaction to that situation, and that can lead to better relationships. So if somebody comes at you, you can say, that's okay. I'm not offended by that. It's okay. And that immediately opens up the pathway to a better relationship with that other person. Unoffended will also create improved judgment. so that you don't have to actually judge somebody else for the harm, the perceived harm they may have caused you. You can just say, it's okay, I'm not harmed in any way. I haven't lost anything. My freedoms haven't been impeded, unless I agree to impede my own freedoms. So we can be more objective about our relationships. We can be more objective about what's happening in our reality and lift ourselves into higher possibilities by being unoffended. And unoffended establishes our sovereignty. By being unoffended, we lift ourselves into more possibility of being sovereign. As long as we remain offended here, we keep repeating the same old patterns of behavior that caused the problem in the first place. So if we can lift ourselves out of those patterns, where we keep feeling offended by other people, it creates us more of the same situation. So if we can be unoffended, it establishes our sovereignty. Impeccability is not what is considered here. The attitude of impeccability is usually considered here to be perfect in every way, but and perfect in all your words and actions. But that's not the attitude of impeccability that I wish to express. Impeccability is impeccability of thoughts and emotions. By not allowing yourself to think in ways that are self-defeating, to not allowing yourself to feel in ways that are self-defeating. So this is very, very difficult to understand and to establish. And impeccability will lead to better thought and emotional well-being when we practice impeccability with our thoughts and emotions. Because what will begin to happen, we'll begin to turn the ship around and say, hey, I don't have to react in this particular way to what is happening to me. I can think in different ways. I can establish that sovereignty where I can be impeccable with my thoughts and my emotions. Impeccability will lead to us being more organized because we're not in that reactionary mode. We'll be able to think more clearly, feel more clearly, and have better organization of our thoughts and emotions. And impeccability will therefore lead to less chaos in our lives. The problem why people have so much chaos in their lives is because they're not impeccable with their thoughts and emotions. And they have these scattered thoughts and emotions and they're all over the place, and so that leads to chaos. So being impeccable with one's thoughts and emotions is very, very important. Well, that's it, folks. This is part 4, and thank you all for watching. Love you all. Look forward to the next video.